So, well,
Yeah.
it's great to meet you. Thank you for taking a minute out today. I appreciate it.
Yeah, I appreciate you having me on.
Yeah, you bet. So before we get into your life of social media strategy and writing and speaking, I want to know, I know we're getting tired of COVID, but 4 years ago, 4.5 years ago, we were trying to figure out how we were going to get out of this thing. How did you
Right.
survive the pandemic and how did it change the way that you do things?
I think the biggest thing is I really don't care if I speak at conferences anymore. I spoke at Social Media Marketing World, and it was like the last conference that happened before COVID closed everything down. Like literally, I was there like, hey, you guys, there's this thing and people are getting sick, and people are like, what are you talking about? It was like literally the second before it hit everywhere. So I think, I've worked at home for like 15 years. So I was already working at home. Um, I think also maybe more cautious with my health. I think maybe we all learned some health lessons about really washing our hands more.
Yeah.
But I have to say, knock on wood, and I'm getting a COVID vaccine today. I have not actually caught it.
Wow,
I've
good for
never
you.
had it. Did you have
Yeah.
it?
Yeah, oh yeah, I got it early on. I got it in November of 2020. So, yeah.
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 So I've been very lucky. We've had a lot of like, yeah, my husband had it and I still didn't catch it. I was like,
Wow.
go into the other room, honey. Bye. You go in there. So yeah, I don't know if I'm just one of those people that isn't going to get it, but I don't trust that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's not like I wear masks really. I am, traveling internationally. Will I wear a mask on the plane? I don't know. I mean, how about
Yeah.
you?
Well, I mean, I did. I went along with it. It all seemed kind of weird though. You wear it into a restaurant, take it off for the whole meal, and while you're eating and drinking and expelling more than you did when you came in, you aren't wearing it. Like the whole thing was just kind of weird how the rules applied and all of that. But I'm just
Yeah.
glad that we're at a point now where I think we are so done with it. I think if something were to happen again, we would be in a much better place. It's like having your second child or something like that.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing for me is that kids like school age kids, it really hit them so hard.
Oh
Like as
yeah.
adults, it was hard for us, but their whole school was like messed up.
Yeah.
They had this like Zoom call all day for school, or parents had to try to manage it, and then they realized how hard teaching is.
Yeah. Yeah, for
So,
sure. Yeah. Well, let's get to the heart and soul of what you do to help small businesses in the realm of social media. I'm going to put you in front of a bunch of third graders at Career Day. One of the kids is curious and says, "Hey, what do you do for a living?" How do you answer them?
I'm a YouTuber. I'm just kidding.
They love that.
Most, I know that's what most, well, they probably say content creator now, but that is a goal that a lot of young people have now is to be famous on the internet. And I think I would say, well, third graders, I think the main thing is to make sure that you finish your education and maybe go to school for marketing so you can really learn how all of it works because just being famous is not a good goal.
Yeah.
You have to have skills that back that up. Just because you create something doesn't mean that people are going to like it or that you're going to make money for it. And it's also very hard to create content, even though we watch a lot of people on videos. So I think have skills to back it up. And if you really, really think that this is what you want to do, I would take improv classes, I would take acting classes, and I would take marketing and business classes because it's actually a business behind the scenes. If you're going to make money and do it, you need to know about contracts and legal things and know that it's a business, it's not just fun. Like it looks just fun, but
Yeah.
it's not. It is fun, but it's not all fun.
Yeah, I get it. I totally do. So what did you want to be when you were in the third grade? What was your dream?
Oh gosh, what did I want to be in third grade? I was a theater girl, but I didn't really start till maybe like fifth grade at a
Yeah.
summer camp things. But I was a theater person all the way. Once I started, I even did it when I was an adult. I did community theater, and so I was like a singer, actor. That's what I love doing.
Yeah.
So.
So
And I
talk.
think a lot of people that are in marketing were theater nerds.
Yeah, no, I get that, and even with radio, there's a lot of that that has levels of performance in it. So
Yeah.
it's all a part of that whole acting troupe, so to speak. So
Yeah.
how did you get into social media? Take me back to where you were born and raised. What were some of these seeds that made you transition from acting into
Well,
social media?
I was out of acting after I actually had adult jobs and stuff.
Right.
I worked at a bank full time and I did some community theater. It was fun. I loved doing it, but then I haven't done it since I had kids. Actually, the weird thing is my husband never saw me in anything. I met
Oh
him
wow.
after I was all done with that. So, um, let's see, how did I get started? Gosh, it's kind of a longish story, but my husband works for a German company and we were out to dinner and his bosses were over from Europe. And I started like saying, this is what I would do if I was going to market the company in the United States, because marketing is different in the United States and Europe, even with social media, like just their messages and their like the images, like all that kind of things, they communicate differently through marketing. And so I was like making it like I would do this and I would start a Facebook page. There's this new thing called Facebook. And then like 6 months later, they were like, we want to hire Peggy to do this product launch. So then I had to recreate the wheel. And I did, I started with a big, huge product launch. And then I just have worked for the company ever since. So I've actually worked in marketing every day since I've started. Like a lot of people they don't actually work for a company. They do a lot of freelance things or they just post on social media and they say that they've worked in social media, but they're not actually getting paid. So that isn't actually a job unless you're getting paid.
Yeah.
So I only worked part-time at the beginning. So I did a lot of things on the side, including, writing and blogging and doing other things. So brand ambassador things. I've done a lot of different kinds of things.
So talk. Yeah. So talk to me a little bit about who's been kind of a role model, who's been kind of a hero, whether it's in your realm of work now or
Oh.
overall. Who has that been for you?
That's a good question. I would say I don't necessarily have a hero. W- what I really was more of a pioneer because I started so early that I had to figure out how to do everything. There wasn't a roadmap like there is now. Like
Yeah.
anybody that wants to start now has decades, at least a decade of information on how to be on camera, how to, connect with people online. There's a million blogs and videos and things now. But when I started, there wasn't that. So I was more of a pioneer than following people. There were marketing people who were doing great things, and there was a few books. And early on, I connected with Guy Kawasaki, and then we, wrote a book together and stuff. But um, yeah, I would say definitely more a pioneer than like someone that I emulated because there wasn't really people doing it wasn't even like a really a career when I started. You know what I mean? It was
Yeah.
more like that all evolved because people started out really on Twitter. And the time when everybody was big on Twitter, there's no way to make money for that. Nobody had figured out how to monetize everything at that point.
Yeah.
It was all just like, can we monetize this? What is this?
Yeah.
That became a verb after we all started doing everything.
Yeah.
It wasn't like today where it's like, okay, I'm going to be a beauty blogger and I'm going to start a YouTube channel and an Instagram and I'm going to, my goal is to work with brands and make money. That wasn't a thing that was even there yet.
Yeah. So of all of the social media platforms out there in 2024, which one do you believe is one of the most either well run or most potent for people's attention?
Oh, those are kind of two different things, well run or most potent. I mean, do you mean if you want to market your small business, where do you think the best place to do it? Or
Yeah.
really like,
Yeah,
okay,
that's part one. And then the other part is of all of these social media behemoths that we have, which one do you think is run the best?
I'll say Pinterest and Pinterest.
Okay.
And it depends on your small business, but I think Pinterest is run really well. I think Meta is so huge now that it's just too big. And they're all focused on making money now, which has changed the focus of all of them. Even Pinterest is, ads and making money. I think the reason that I say Pinterest is great for small businesses is because every single thing that you create can link out to your product or
Yeah.
service, where every video that you create on TikTok does not lead out to a link or Instagram. So all the things that you're creating can link directly where you want it to go. And things are very, they use search and key. It's a discovery and search engine. So people who are interested in your things will find it if you're optimizing.
That's interesting. And I didn't years ago, and I kind of did Pinterest a little bit. It's odd that it's so female driven, and a man was actually the one that came up with the idea.
Yeah, two guys came up with it.
Yeah,
Yep.
that's wild. Very wild.
Yeah. But I don't know, there's just something about it. There's a lot of men on there now. I
Yeah,
think
there is.
initially there is, but
Yeah,
initially it was like every social media company that pops up, they get a seed group of people to use the product and
yeah,
they happen to choose women.
yeah,
They like found a group of bloggers in Utah and all of these women used it, made it popular. They all had like design blogs and decor blogs and things like that. So it just happened to be how they launched. And maybe initially that was the most content that was on there.
sure.
But you can find anything on there now,
Yeah.
any kinds of things that you want to pin. Even because I used to have that conversation with Guy a lot. He would be like, there's not stuff I like on there. I'm like, go look and search for hockey. You'll find plenty of hockey.
Uh-huh.
At the time, he was like obsessed with hockey. There really is everything. It's just matter, what you're looking for. I mean, yes, there's recipes, but FYI, we all eat and cook,
Yeah,
right?
absolutely. Yeah. So let me ask you this. In your world of social media and helping people get to a better place, small businesses, what's one contract or client that you had that was really, really difficult, but you learned the most out of it? Maybe a client or a project.
Mm. I have to say I have been really lucky. I really haven't worked with difficult people. Um, Things that I've done, I have done things that are challenging just because, like I said, a lot of times I was doing them before there was ways to do them. So, like some of the first brand things that I did very big brand campaigns, like working with Motorola and Audi and things like that. So doing the brand campaign from the back end where you're not the face of it, but you're managing all the social media for it. Those are very challenging. And at the time, it's not like you could Google like how to do brand campaigns. So I was figuring out how to do it all. And then I just put everything on a Trello board. I organized it. I put all the pieces in. You do have to be very organized to be successful.
Yeah.
You really do. So some of those projects were hard and challenging, but like fun and also I'm organized so I could do it. But then just like the tracking of all of those things, sometimes the things you want to do, there's not the tool that you need to make it happen. Um, so yeah, I would say I really have not worked with difficult people though. I am lucky that way.
Yeah. So if you could hang out with one like CEO or maverick of social media importance or an actual
Mm.
vendor, who would you love to hang out with for a little while and kind of see how they operate?
That's a good question. And I have to say, I have been very, very lucky in my career. I have worked behind the scenes with all the companies that I've worked with Pinterest and Instagram and LinkedIn and YouTube. I've already worked behind the scenes and have connections with like their partnership teams. I would like to spend more time at Pinterest though. It is literally my favorite place and I get so inspired there. Also Threads. I'll say Threads. I'll reverse that. I do love Pinterest, but Threads I love and they do have like a lot of Thread stuff behind the scenes and they've had like Thread creator events. I would love to go to one of their things because that's kind of where they're focusing on it now. And it's still the good old days when there's no algorithm shutting things down yet. So I think a lot of new people see your things there. So I
Yeah.
would like to go behind the scenes at Threads, even though it's Meta. I know
Yeah.
I said Meta, but
Yeah. So what is it that motivates you every day to wake up and to do this work to help people, but to also
ooh.
evolve as a human yourself?
I think I'm just really interested in how it works, and I've been doing it for so long. I mean, you can get burned out on how many changes there are because things change all the time. But I still find it really interesting. And like right now, I'm working on my book launch. So I'm focused specifically. So I have a focus and I'm just working on like creating content about that, talking about that. So I'm very focused on making things the best I can for what I'm creating. I did a big like re update, a big update on my blog. And so I think I just am still just in it. Like I just still love it. Like even though I've been doing it for a long time, I like meeting new people and talking to people. In my podcast tour that I've been doing, I've met some people who are friends now. And so I still like the connecting with people, which I think is harder now. It's harder now that people are more disconnected and kind of all over the place.
Yeah.
So I still think connecting with people, whether it's like on a podcast, Zoom call, or
So everything that you've accomplished and become in your life, what are you the proudest of?
I would say my family.
Yeah.
I've written books, I've traveled the world, I've done a million things, but I'm most proud of my family and raising kids that I think are awesome, that are, good people.
So speaking of travel, what's one of the most magically unexpected places you've been to on the planet?
Mm, I'll say Santiago, Chile.
Okay.
It is beautiful there. It's so beautiful there. I don't know if you've ever been there,
I
but it's not
haven't.
a place that it's so far down. It's like at the bottom of South America,
Yeah.
and the mountains, it's the Andes Mountains, and they
Yeah.
are just it's stunning.
I
Like
would
it's
love to see
just
it.
stunning.
I
Yeah.
would totally love to see it.
If you're listening, look it up. Look at
Yeah.
the pictures. Santiago, Chile is gorgeous.
Yeah.
I went all over South America with Motorola, working on a phone launch campaign and went to Mexico City, Peru, Argentina, Brazil, and Chile.
Wow.
It was amazing.
Yeah. So let me ask you this. If you had a dream tonight, ran into the 18-year-old version of you, and you could give that young version of you a piece of advice based on the life you've led,
Mm,
the wisdom you've gained, what advice
mhm.
would you impart on your young version?
Don't date that person that you dated from 20 to 25.
There you go. Right?
I would say avoid that person at all costs.
Yeah.
Um, I would say I really did. It's really hard to give advice. Like at the time when I was that age, it was very like I'm a Gen X, so it was like
Huh?
you didn't even really have to go to college. Like people were like, you could go to college, or you could get a great job. I worked really early on. I guess also I would tell myself, save money, start saving money earlier than you think, because in my 20s, I saved zero money,
Yeah.
and spent a lot of money on clothes. It would be back at the time. But I would also work multiple jobs. So I'd be like, oh, I'm really busy. I can't do laundry. I'll just get some clothes.
But that was kind of the Gen X way. I mean, it was a very specific time for things like
Yeah.
that to happen for
Yeah.
sure. We were trendsetters in a different way. So at the
Yep.
end of the day, everyone has a perception of you, family, friends, clients, colleagues, but you run the
Mm.
show. What's your perception of you? Who do you think you are?
Oh, that's a good question. Who do I think I am? I think I am a friendly, helpful, kind person I have a good attitude. I smile a lot. That's what I think about myself. I hope I am those things. That's
So
what I
what?
strive to be, and I think I am.
Yeah, I get it. I totally get it. So what's the best advice you've ever gotten?
That you can just say no to things. I
Yeah.
think that took a long time for me to learn. It's a little bit different for women. Like it's harder to say no. It's so harder to be successful that you feel like I should take every opportunity that comes my way. But sometimes you have to look at things and say, it's not the right time for this. And sometimes it's like, yes, you should take that and, learn how to do it on the way down. You take the parachute and just jump and do it. But it is okay just to say no, and that's fine. Whether it's for your mental health, you're just too stressed, it doesn't seem right. Like trust your instincts to say no to stuff. I think sometimes we think, should I do that? And then I actually recently just did that on a project, and I got bad vibes in the planning process of it. And I should have just pulled the plug, and I didn't, because I didn't want to say no after I had already said yes. And then I just regretted it all. And
Wow.
then I was like, I should have trusted myself because I
Yeah.
knew, but you hate to disappoint people, but also you gotta, if you get the bad vibes, you just gotta do it,
Yeah.
right?
You got to take care of yourself. So
Yeah.
let's say we get off this call, time machine pulls up in front of your house. You can go anywhere in the history of time and see one event with your own eyes.
Ooh,
Where would you go?
one event. That's so hard to answer. One event that I could think of people I would want to meet. What event would
Yeah,
I
that's
want to be
fine.
at?
That's fine. People would be fine.
I would like to meet either Louise, I think Louisa May Alcott. I would like to
Yeah.
meet her. She was such a renegade and she supported her family with her writing at a time when they would not hire women or pay women to write. So I feel like what she did was such a huge contribution, not only to writing, because she wrote great books, but just as a woman, she just made it happen even when it wasn't even possible for women. So I think she would have been really cool. And also, I love Laura Ingalls Wilder.
Yeah.
I don't know if you like Little House on the Prairie, but I was
Yeah.
obsessed with all of those books growing up, obsessed.
Yeah.
So I think she would have been a very cool person to talk to. But I think Louisa May Alcott, I think would be a person I would really love to talk with. How about you? Who would you want to meet?
I actually met my hero when I was a kid. I loved Dwight Gooden. He was one of my favorite
Mm,
guys because he just,
yeah.
he kind of went back and forth, got in trouble, came back, and he happened to be in town last year for an event. He got inducted into the Negro Leagues Hall of Fame here, and he was so cool. He was one of the greatest guys ever, and I couldn't believe it.
Yeah. It's
So
it's so great when you meet someone and they live up to it.
yeah, I know, isn't it? It's very cool.
Yeah.
The,
Yeah.
the the other guy I would love to meet, and he was just in town this weekend, was Bob Costas. I would love
Uh,
to yeah.
yeah.
He was the one.
It
So
throws me back to watching all the Olympics growing up.
yeah, 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 yeah.
Every
Well,
Olympics.
yeah. Well, and now he's got the latitude to do anything he wants because he's so good at. I mean, he's always been
Mm.
at the top of his game, but now he just does baseball games. So he was here in Kansas City for the playoffs, and I wish I would have bumped into him somewhere. So be really
Yeah.
cool. Yeah.
You were like Bob Costas. You're amazing.
Yeah.
He is
So
though. Like, I mean,
what's
it
that?
takes a lot to be on air for hours and hours and
Oh,
hours.
yeah. Yeah, 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 for sure. Yeah, the first loan that I ever took out in my life, one of the first loans is I went to this first annual sports broadcasting camp at the University of Missouri St. Louis, and he was the
Mm,
keynote speaker. And all of us
wow.
there were sports broadcasting heads, and we just could not sleep the night before we were going to meet Bob. And it was like he was the guy. So it was
Yeah,
cool.
it's great. I spoke at the Inbound conference lots of times, and they always have really great keynote speakers. And Martha Stewart was keynote
Oh, cool.
speaking,
Yeah.
and I convinced my friend to go backstage with me to sneak backstage illegally
Nice.
to
Good for
go
you.
see Martha. And we got like she was literally like 8 feet away, and we got busted.
Oh no, good for you. What a Gen
They're
X
like,
thing to do.
"Hi, Martha." I know.
Yeah.
I was like, "Let's just." There's like 20,000 people there. I'm like, "Let's just go
Yeah, why
backstage.
not?
What could
Yeah.
happen?"
Well, exactly. What's the worst that's going to happen? You'll get stopped.
Yeah, we didn't get kicked out of the
Yeah.
whole thing. They were just like, "No, you can't go." I was like, "Oh, I'm sorry. I'm a speaker. I was in the wrong."
See, and you
I
got a
thought
good
I was on
story.
the. I thought I was on the big stage. Oh yeah, I would totally. My friends always that was with me was like, "I can't believe you made me do
That's a
that."
great
But
story.
why not, right?
Yeah,
I
exactly.
mean, we did get busted. And also, I don't think she would have been friendly if we went up to her because she seemed like pissed.
Yeah, I get it. I could totally see that. But you
But
at
I
least got
had met
close.
her earlier. I had met her earlier. This will also age me. She was at Kmart when she used to do Kmart um stuff. Like she remember when she did
Oh
she
yeah,
had big line at Kmart and she used to go to some of the store openings, the big store openings. So I went to one and I have a signed magazine from her. It was like her first Christmas edition of
nice.
her magazine. And Jacqueline Smith was there,
Yeah, yeah.
one
Wow.
of the Charlie's Angels. And I have
Yeah.
to tell you, she's one of the most gorgeous people, like in person.
Wow.
Like blows your mind how pretty she was. It was
Yeah.
not all just lights and makeup with her. She was.
Yeah. I could see that. Yeah, for sure. For sure.
And kids, if you're listening, she was one of the original Charlie's Angels.
Uh-huh. Yep. She was on that TV show when we only had like five channels on the telly. So,
Yeah,
um,
that
so
show is crazy popular.
oh yeah. Yeah, 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 for sure. Yeah. So if anyone wants to pick up your book, The Art of Small Business Social Media, hire you, any of the good business, where's the best place to go?
Well, unfortunately, not for hire. I do not do client work at all.
Okay.
So
All right.
sorry about that, everybody. But you can find my book anywhere you like to buy your books. It is there. It's on pre-order right now. It'll be available November 19th. So you can order it and it will be shipped to you as soon as that date hits. And my website is pegfitzpatrick.com. And I'm at Peg Fitzpatrick on social media. So come and say hi on Instagram or Threads.
Wonderful. Peg, this has been so good. Thank you so much
Yeah,
for your
thank
story.
you.
I appreciate it.
Thank
Best of
you.
luck with everything.
Thank you.